Hi guys, it's Vishali. So I've just covered Chelsea's 1-0 loss to Manchester City. I have to say it was a shocking performance from the champions against the champions elect. It's the 4th defeat for Chelsea in their last 5 games. It's left them 5 points off 4th place Tottenham. And where to start really today? I'm going to start off with the tactics. I'm going to start off with that key decision by Antonio Conte to have Eden Hazard start up front in the false number 9 position. Now, just looking at my Twitter mention, there is a lot of anger from Chelsea fans about the decision not to have a striker up front. First things first, did it work? No, it didn't work. Now, Hazard, he did perform well in that same role against Barcelona. Of course, Chelsea drew that game 1-1 a couple of weeks ago. I've mentioned it before in previous vlogs where when Hazard has played up front, he has looked pretty good. But in recent times, apart from that game against Barcelona, it really hasn't worked. And a lot of it was down to the fact that Chelsea were often playing long balls and Hazard couldn't get onto the end of them at the Etihad Stadium. And you saw just how frustrated he was getting as the first half went on. Now, here's a stat for you. It's a really damning stat, and it does link back to the fact that they didn't have a striker up front. Chelsea did not register 1 shot on target against City. That is damning, I have to say. And for me, I just felt it was a wrong decision for Conte to have Hazard up front. I see what he was trying to do. It didn't work. And I think that for me, he should then have brought on the strikers, Giroud in particular, earlier. He made that change. I think it was in the 78th minute when he brought Giroud on. Then he brought Morata on. I think it was in the 89th minute. For me, it was too little too late by that point. And yeah, I just think it completely backfired on Conte, and actually he's come out and, you know, he has hit back at a lot of critics. He's hit back in particular at Jamie Redknapp, who said that Conte committed crimes against football by having that kind of setup at the Etihad Stadium. But I think what's quite interesting is Conte coming out and saying that essentially if he hadn't set up his team in the way he did, he felt they would have been beaten by a much bigger scoreline than the 1-0 that they lost today. And he said it would affect his players, and essentially he's saying it would have affected their confidence. I think that's quite interesting. I mean, a lot of fans, certainly from my Twitter feed, have kind of taken exception to the fact that, you know, Conte seemingly went out to kind of, you know, not, well, certainly draw, I think, but certainly not lose by a big margin. The fact is they lost regardless, and I think what a lot of fans are angry about is the performance of the Chelsea players. There was just no pressing there at times. They were lacklustre, they were poor, and they didn't have any leadership on the pitch. I think that was the most shocking, the fact that Chelsea didn't seem to try at times at all against a City side, yes, who have been great all season, but who weren't at their clinical best today. Now I'm just going to look at Andreas Christensen because he is starting to suffer from a few mistakes. He's been by far one of the sensational stories for Chelsea this season since he came back from loan. But he has suffered from a few mistakes in recent weeks. Today, of course, it was his attempted clearance that fell to Aguero. Aguero, of course, set up David Silva, who then passed the ball to Bernardo Silva for the goal, the winner. Of course, he made that big mistake against Barcelona. I don't think it's anything really to worry about too much, because I still think he's a massive part, a massive sort of player for Chelsea. And I think the big problem for Conte is that he doesn't have David Luiz available from injury. But it is something to note that he is starting to suffer a little bit from a few mistakes. Now, the key question is, what do Chelsea do now? They're starting to, you know, trail Tottenham by quite a few points. They've got a huge game at Crystal Palace at Stamford Bridge next weekend. They absolutely must not lose that game because, of course, they then have Barcelona away in the Champions League. They must win that game. It is a crucial game, especially for the confidence. And I think we'll see in about 2 weeks' time just where this Chelsea side sit. Are they still in the Champions League? Are they still in the FA Cup? Hey guys, so just a reminder, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to see more Chelsea match analysis vlogs, match previews, press conference updates, and also training ground updates.